Hey, what's up guys? My name's Dakota Coburn. I'm an adventure photographer, and today I'll tell you about my favorite backpack. It's a Hyperlite Southwest 3400. I've been using it for the last 9 months or so. Since I've been using the backpack through all 4 seasons, I've really gotten a chance to test out the backpack well and really understand what its limits are. There's a reason why I'm still using it right now, coming up on a year later. Let me tell you about the specs about the backpack. It's made out of 150 denier Dyneema. Bit of a mouthful saying that. 150 denier Dyneema comes in black, and there's a 50 denier Dyneema that comes in white. I personally went with the black option because I like the way it looks better, it's stronger, and a little bit tougher. I've seen pictures and videos of the white backpacks and look kind of gross after a few months of use, hence a backpacking backpack. The white backpack comes in at 2 pounds flat, while the black one comes in at 2.2 pounds, so it does weigh a little bit more for the black one, but I think the trade-offs are worth it. Another thing I'm going to mention about DCF as well, it's very crinkly. Have a listen to this. The backpack itself acts like a giant stuff sack essentially. It's just one big area for you to put all your stuff in, and then a roll top on the top. There's 2 ways to close the roll top. You can either snap it down on either side of the backpack, or you can pinch it onto itself. I prefer to do it on the side just because I can use it as attachment points, and it compresses the bag more. And it also has 3 large compartments on the outside. With the 3 compartments and the large internal, the backpack works out to be 55 liters plus 11 liters, which is a lot of space for a backpack in my opinion that only weighs 2 pounds. As for the pockets on the outside, Hyperlite makes them out of a material called hardfast, which is a nylon and Dyneema fused material. I don't know much about the fabrics, but it's really strong. I keep my cook system in my back pocket, and I've fallen straight down on my back before on hard rocks, sharp rocks, and it hasn't ripped before, so it tells you about the durability of it. For more storage on the outside of the backpack has some nice lofty hip pockets on the side. They're also made of the hardline material, which I find to be quite durable. There's very minimal wear on it for how much abuse I put through, and these are a high contact area for when you're bushwhacking, I personally find. Zippers are very accessible. See, undo it with one hand easily. They're quite large too. I'm able to keep one of my lenses in there, pull it out whenever I need it and want to switch out my lens. Probably not the smartest idea for falling, but you also keep snacks. Keep my sunglasses typically on me when I'm hiking. They are getting scratched up from that though, so keep that in mind. As for other external ways for attachment points on the backpack, there's a bunch of straps on the side. You can use them as compression straps, or you could use it to hang things off of. Personally, hang off my trekking poles, or in the winter time, I'll throw my ice axe on there, snowboards. Also on the rear for attachment straps, there's the Y strap on the back. I use that for holding on like different separate things like my helmet if I'm doing a hardcore scramble or snowboarding, or for attaching other random accessories to the backpack. So those straps I just told you about, you can't remove them unfortunately. I know a lot of people like to save on weight and they cut them off themselves. Personally, I wouldn't ever do that because I like using it for throwing stuff on the outside of my backpack. The only straps that you can remove on the backpack are on the very back. There's 4 toggle locations on the back that you can attach a strap onto that cross over the back. I personally like using the bottom one if I have my snowboard with me. Unfortunately, you have to buy those straps extra when you buy the backpack. They don't come with it. And as for other attachment points, there's a daisy chain system that runs up and down the shoulders. I use it for my Peak Design capture clip. And I have Hyperlite shoulder pouch on the other side where I keep my Garmin inReach inside here. And on the inside of the backpack, the only extra storage compartment is a mesh insert that's meant for holding a water bladder. I personally would never use it. I know some people like to use them when they're hiking, but it's just too much of a risk for me if I burst one and all my camera gear and down stuff is in there and it gets wet. That would terrify me, especially in winter. That wraps it up for storage on the backpack. What's one of the main things you think about when you want a backpack? It's comfort. That was one of the selling points for me when I decided to get this backpack. Its ability to carry weight is pretty insane for how light it is and essentially just being a glorified stuff stack. I've personally carried upwards of 50 pounds in my bag with my snowboard equipment and tent, and I didn't feel any fatigue at all from my back and shoulders from wearing that for 8 hours plus, which is a real test about the quality of the backpack. Now, what I believe is the reason for that is Hyperlite's way of transferring the weight from your shoulders into your hips. They do this with these long aluminum stays. They have a very aggressive curve to them if you were to take it out and look at it. It seems to do the trick. Now, also with the backpack, it sits very flush against your back. I personally love that because I wouldn't like a backpack that sits far off my back. I always feel like they're pulling me down or trying to knock me off balance. All my weight is tight and close against me. It's a lot easier when I'm doing like a hardcore scramble. Now for the hip belts themselves, padding is a little thin in my personal opinion. I just noticed it when I have my lens in here and I've been hiking for 40 kilometers. I can feel a little bit of a rub on my hips. Besides that, it's not too bad. Most other people don't have a lens in their pocket. I also should mention the hip belt doesn't walk around on me. It stays nice and secure in place. You know, some backpacks like my last one, they would start to shift on me a bit, especially once I start moving along quite quickly. The shoulder padding itself too is very minimal. It's just enough for me. It's very comfortable. I never feel anything up there, as I said earlier. But I can see if you're a very skinny person, it could possibly start digging into your shoulders or collarbones. I've also heard some people complain about the shoulder straps on the side being a little bit tight. I mean, I'm a fairly large person and it hasn't bothered me, so I imagine most people will be fine. I should also mention the sizing of the backpack. I have mine in the size tall. Hyperlite has it in 4 sizes. You'll have to check out their website as for a guide on which one you should get. If you fall in between, go for the size up. To give you a reference of me getting a size tall, I'm 6'5", 230, with probably a few extra pounds at the moment. Hyperlite's philosophy too is that if you have a backpack that fits you correctly, you don't need load lifters. So that's one thing. This backpack doesn't have load lifters, but I personally never found it I needed it or went to go to reach the yank on and pull it up. It's always sat quite comfortably on me. And that wraps up for the comfort of the backpack. It's the reason why I still use it all the time right now. Mentioning it, I do a lot of bushwhacking with this bag, and it really speaks to the quality of it and the overall design. So, and I'd like to talk about that for a minute, the overall build quality. Of all the bushwhacking I've done over the last 9 months, it's held up quite well and it still pretty much looks brand new. The stitching on it is very amazing. It's either tripled up, doubled up, or in certain sections it's very thick. Along the hip belt area, they have done triple stitching all along it. And for the inside of the backpack, they went along and seam sealed basically every seam, which makes the backpack very water resistant. Now, it will leak right along the shoulder area here. If you've seen Dan Becker's video of him hiking and he had to bail out, all the stuff soaked through when he didn't have everything wrapped up in the bag, which I recommend always putting everything in a dry bag. In my own experience, I found that that's where the water came through, is over the shoulder straps area. There's no seam sealing there. I've thought about putting a silicone sealant around there, but I just haven't got around to it, and the water in there I find is very minimal. And with all that being said, I live in Vancouver Island, which is one of the wettest places on earth. Actually, one of my favorite hikes is 14 kilometers away from the wettest place in North America. When you look that up, you want to figure out exactly where I like hiking. Creepy mofos. Probably a big reason for the quality too. The backpack's manufactured in the United States, in Maine, and also they've started up a new factory down in Mexico. Hyperlite's ensured that they're only going to have professional sewers working on the backpack. I haven't heard from anyone using one yet from the Mexican-made backpacks, but I still believe Hyperlite will keep up their same quality. To give you an idea about the frequency of how much I use the backpack, I usually go out 2 days a week with it. In over 9 months, that's getting pretty close to over 100 days with it. Give or take a few days I miss here, plus a few extra days I'll do on some occasions. I recently just got back for 3 weeks hiking around the Canadian Rockies and I never found any issues with it. And that's some real hardcore terrain there. I've really gotten to know this backpack very well. Now I'm going to talk about some of the negatives of the backpack because nothing's perfect in the world. So off the bat, I'd have to say one of the biggest negatives is the price. It's fairly expensive. For the black backpack, it's $375, which Canadian works up to be roughly $1 million. The black backpack is slightly more expensive than the white one. That's a big consideration for you, roughly $20 more. The shoulder pocket itself is an extra $50 US. And then the attachment straps I was talking about earlier that I got for my snowboard, $20 US also a piece, so it adds up very quickly. But you get what you pay for. It's a very reliable backpack that carries weight well and is fairly lightweight. Something that's also a negative to this backpack, that for me is actually a positive, some people might be a negative, it's very well rounded. Fortunately, that doesn't make it good at many things. That means it doesn't excel in certain areas, like it's not the lightest backpack going. It's also more comfortable ones. Z-Packs has a backpack that is lighter. Osprey has a backpack that's more comfortable. I personally like the right here in the happy medium. I find it's the most comfortable because it's able to carry weight tight close to my body, and it's able to distribute the weight from my shoulders to my hips very well. Kind of started rambling off and the backpack became a positive again, that negative. Another thing I don't like about the backpack too is the roll top. It's made out of Velcro. It's a small minor complaint, but when I'm trying to grab something with a fleece shirt on, it'll always grab on my sleeve and kind of yank it off. And I've heard of other people too having the Velcro plug up with dust and dirt, and then it's not as effective. But for me, I haven't noticed that yet. I personally thought maybe they could use something like a magnet or whatever, because the Velcro is not doing much to begin with. That's about all I have negative things to say about the backpack. It's not a whole lot. It's a very well dialed backpack. So who's it for? If you're looking to lighten your load, you want something that's very comfortable, and feel like if you get this backpack, you're gonna be a serious backpacker. You want something that's not gonna fail on you. I've had gear on me fail while I'm out in the mountains, and it can be scary at times, and something like your backpack could put you in a bad situation. I don't believe the Hyperlite would do that to you. So what are my final thoughts on the Hyperlite Southwest 3400? I believe is a great middle-sized backpack where you can do your multi-day hikes, you can do winter camping with it, and you can also trust it. If I was to take this out on a multi-day bushwhack hike, I would have no doubts in my mind that this backpack would hold it up to that. I've fallen down rocks, had trees hit me. Well, not exactly trees hit me, but I've been stabbed by trees. And I've seen no wear from it. To be honest, I've never even cleaned the backpack, and you can see how pretty it looks still. Another positive, it's a cool looking backpack, not so much of a weenie bag. I left a link down below if you're interested in getting it. The Hyperlite's website down below. That's where I bought mine from. The shipping time also didn't take very long either. At the time when I purchased mine at the end of 2019, you know, some things have changed in the last few months with the whole coronavirus situation. If you guys enjoyed this video, don't forget to subscribe. And let me know what you think of the Hyperlite down below in the comments, or what backpack you use. I'm interested to hear what your guys' feedback is. Okay, thanks guys. See you on the trails.